Hi everyone. In today's episode of Know Your Major podcast series, we have with us Kashish Arora. Hi Kashish, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm
Thanks
good.
for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
And why don't we start with a little bit about your introduction? Why don't you help us understand, where did you do your schooling, then college? What are you up to now?
Yeah,
Let's start
sure.
from there.
So my name is Kashish, and I was doing my high school in Bangalore at Greenwood High International School. And currently I'm in the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm doing a combined major in commerce and computer science. It's a 4-year program, but you get to extend it up to 6 years. And yeah, I'm graduating in a couple of months in 2024, so that's exciting. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think you have a commerce and a computer science, very unheard of. So I think this conversation is going to be very, very interesting, I'm sure. So let's start with that, right? So my first basic question: when you enter into the college, did you had the same major decided, or you had your own journey?
Yeah, actually, I started out in it's called the Bucks program, basically business and computer science. So I'm probably going to refer to it as Bucks. But I initially applied to college with commerce. I was applying everywhere with either economics, math, or business. I was like a huge math nerd in high school, and I really wanted to do something in that field. And I got into like commerce at both Toronto and UBC, and UBC offered this program, and instantly it was like a yes, because computer science is such a lucrative field, but getting into it is kind of hard if you don't have a background in it. And as soon as I saw the program, I was like, I want to do it. So I applied to it after I got into UBC, but you get like your application result before you start university, and then it's from first year to fourth year I've been in the program.
Nice. So I think what I have understood, so you first got into commerce both at Toronto and British Columbia, and then they gave you an option that if you would like to opt for this program, and then you opted for it, and you got this result way before. So if at all you didn't get into it, then you probably would have, evaluated Toronto and this both.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Understood. And are there any other college that you know of which offers such program, which is like a commerce and computer science?
The ones that I've seen of are UC Berkeley, I think. NYU also does it. But NYU is more like data science plus business, or like financial science plus like your finance major. But the combined degree is made such that you basically do all of your commerce requirements to graduate and all computer science courses to graduate with a computer science major. And then your electives, which are like your free form courses, you don't really have those because your only core courses are business and computer science. So it's sort of like a double major, but they don't really do that over here because double majors are only 5 or 6 core courses, but this is like the entire degree. So if I were to go like to the US, for example, it would qualify as a STEM degree because it can be called a computer science degree and a commerce degree.
Interesting. And this is a 4-year degree.
Yeah, 4 years is the ideal, but it's quite heavy. So a lot of students complete it in like 5 or 6 years. But I did know someone who completed it in 3 years, and he was grinding a lot. It's quite hard.
Got it. Yeah, I'm sure it must be great. I think that's clear. Let's try and take a step back, right? So think about when you were in grade 9 to grade 11. How did you go about selecting your major, right? Was there certain instances, experiences, or influences that you had in your life who made you take this call? Obviously, you spoke about math being your favorite subject. I'm sure that was one of the factor, but was there something else that made you select commerce? And then also there's a little bit of influence of computer science.
Yeah, of course. So my brother was getting into computer science and he really enjoyed it. I had no background in computer science at all. I actually did it in 9th and 10th grade. And then for 11th and 12th, I was doing IB, which only gave me 6 courses. And I chose those subjects based on the idea that I would go into like math or economics. But I think with like your high school period, at least for me, there was a lot of involvement for my family also. You get influences from your family, your friends, what you think is a good field for you, what you enjoy doing. And for me, I used to really enjoy, for example, organizing events or like I was doing business roles for my school projects and things like that. And I would really enjoy it. I also really enjoyed learning business, econ, and math. I think in high school, it's a little bit harder to sort of select your major when you're a little bit confused, like you don't exactly know where to get into. So you start finding things that you're good at, and then you automatically feel inclined to like do it even more because you're good at it. Like if you get a positive reaction from the things you do, you're more inclined to do them. And so for me, that was like math and economics and business. With computer science specifically, I had no idea that I would ever do it in university. Like in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, computer science was never like, maybe I'm going to do this. Or in any of my college applications, I didn't choose that at all. So it was sort of like a happy accident for me. But the program here is specifically designed for people who don't have like too much of a background in computer science. So you're learning everything from the beginning. And for me, I guess like choosing computer science was more like, oh, it's actually perfect because computer science is such a lucrative field, but it's also intimidating to get into if you haven't been doing it in high school. So the fact that it was made for people who didn't have a background in it already made it a lot more appealing to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And did you do like, so, I mean, in the beginning, you started off with business, you started off with economics. Was there any other influence? Was it the family background that you're coming from? Do you think that had a role to play in that as well?
100%. I think growing up, my parents would always tell me that, oh, you do really well in sales or marketing, or like, oh, you're like a businesswoman. And both of them are serial entrepreneurs. So for me, I'd absorb a lot from them. And so in high school, especially, I always thought that I'd go into like a very core business job. And I think we don't realize how much our family influences us. But when you spend a lot of time with really competitive people or people that are doing really well in a particular industry, you're also more drawn to it. So the moment my brother started doing computer science and he was doing really well in it, I think it was like an easy grasp for me and my family to be like, oh, it's a great major and that's something you should definitely do. Yeah, I think my family was definitely a big influence on me choosing my major, but it was also a lot to do with how I was doing in school. Like I was really bad at physics, like terrible. So I knew I couldn't get into physics. And chem and bio were appealing to me in middle school, but the moment I got deeper into it in high school, I was like, maybe this isn't for me. So it's sort of like a process of elimination, if that makes sense.
Right.
But yeah, I think those are the factors that did influence me quite a bit.
Great. So I think this is before you got into college. Now you're in college, right? So why did you share a bit about your experience, how your overall college experience has been related to your major, right? Related to the major.
Yeah, of course. So first year was definitely extremely difficult because when you're in computer science courses without a background in it, you sort of see that everyone who's gotten into the major, like in computer science, has sort of a background in it. For me, this program only has like 40 to 70 kids per year. And every year the drop rate is like 15 to 20 kids because a lot of people just can't handle it and then they drop out. So around 30 kids graduate with the program, which is a little bit intimidating, honestly. But I really liked challenging myself. And because computer science was something that didn't come to me naturally, I would want to do it even more. Like I wanted to be good at it or I wanted to do good in it. First year was definitely extremely grueling. Second and third year, I think were a little better because I sort of knew what I was expecting. And I decided that I was going to graduate with this degree. Like I knew I had to graduate with it. By the time fourth year came around, well, I'm in fourth year now, but handling stress and everything becomes a lot easier when you know what to expect. But definitely first year is always the hardest for anyone in university. It's also the time where everyone is exploring. And when you're in a program where it's extremely tight on like, these are your requirements, this is what you have to do, like there wasn't too much room to like move things around. That was quite overwhelming. But I think, Yeah, I guess the one thing I'd want to change about my program is having a little bit more freedom. But if I wanted that freedom, then I could have just taken like a commerce degree and then took some computer science courses on the side. So it's really about like what you're looking into get, like what you're looking to get into when you're going into college. But yeah, first year is always the roughest, I think, for everyone.
Got it. Great. And let's look at it from the lens of your career goals, right? So, did you have any specific career goals in mind when you were selecting these majors? Have they changed? Have they evolved, or are they still the same? Because I mean, obviously, the degree has definitely seems to be evolving. So,
Yeah.
and I think the world overall is evolving. Obviously, I'm sure. I remember I was talking to you last time. I think maybe 2 years, 3 years back for another podcast. And
Yeah.
I don't think we had AI anyway to discuss. And there is AI today all around, right? That we are discussing. So what about your career goals, right?
Okay, so when I was getting into college, I thought I would go into marketing, sales, because that was what was told to me like my entire life that I would be really good at that. And I also have a creative background. So for me, that was like instantly, I want to do this. And then after first year, I would only apply to those roles. But with the degree itself, like business and computer science, you unlock a bunch of skills. Like I know people who are in software engineering, some people go directly into business roles like financial analysis, accounting, things like that. Other people go into investment banking. Like you can really do anything you want with this degree, but it also makes it a little bit sort of tough if you're not someone who has like a clear-cut goal in mind, which was for me after first year. Like I really wasn't sure what I wanted to get into. After first year, I did like a business role, a business analyst role, but then I ended up working on their product because I had tech skills. And then in my second year, I did a more like customer facing role because I maybe thought going into the client industry would be something that I really like. I like interacting with people. And that actually landed me a tech consulting job, which I found really, really beautiful because it involved both like the business side, like interacting with clients, but also like the technical side. Like if I wanted to learn more about our solutions or how to code with our solutions or get more into that, that was an option available to me too. But then in my like third, fourth year, I started really, really liking human computer interaction, which is more like front end development, user research, user design. And so that is something I'm exploring at the moment. But my general answer is you shouldn't be too stressed out if you don't exactly know what you want to get into in your career, especially with this degree, because it allows you to do like a lot. But also, in college, it's very easy to be closed-minded. Like once you find a job, you're like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. Or it's easy to get locked into a job when you're an international student. I think with that, it's been a little bit tough, like not having a very specific direction. Like at the moment after university, I have a consulting role. But I'm not too particular on doing it because I am still exploring like front end user design, user research. But yeah, I guess the one thing about this degree is that you just have options, like a lot of options. Um, Obviously, life would be easier if I did know that I want to get into software engineering or I want to do this specifically. But I kind of like it because I end up learning a lot more when I am open minded about doing roles. So, yeah, I think this degree is good for people who are still wanting to explore different options within the tech industry, but also in the business industry.
Great. Okay, let's try and take some advice from you for the high school students, right? So I think what advice would you give to these high school students who are currently 9th, 10th, 11th, and so on, and trying to figure out the right major for themselves, right? Was there a framework that they should follow? Was there a method that they should follow? Any advice that you have for them that they should do to figure out the right fit?
Honestly, this is probably not what they're wanting to hear, but there is no specific right answer. I think it's instead of like going into what everyone around you is telling you to go into, a very good thing you can do is maybe write down the list of things you're interested in and the list of things that excite you, and try to do projects in those areas. Because at the end of the day, in university and life, like, you will be happier and you will do well in a field that you are passionate about or you do like. So even if it's two completely unrelated things, right? Even if it's like chemistry and finance, if those are two things you really like, find projects in those two subjects that excite you, work on those. And then when it comes to choosing your major and you're still like a little bit confused the way I was, choose a university that lets you explore your options. But if you are set on like doing something, like I know people who love computer science the moment they started learning it, then involve yourself more into that. Like, learn more about it. Try to figure out maybe these are like your career paths. Speak to people who are in those careers. Ask them what a day in their life looks like. I think those are things that I wish I was told back in the day. Speak to people in a major that you're interested in doing, because at the end of the day, it's 4 to 5 years of your life, right? You'd rather have some sort of experience or idea of what you're getting yourself into.
Yep.
And while we're applying to college or while we're looking at our majors, we get so deep into the college itself, like its ranking, how good the education is. But if you don't enjoy what you're learning, you're probably not going to enjoy college. So I think speaking to people doing the current major would be my number one advice. And my number two advice would be do things that excite you in high school, because it definitely will help towards your university degree.
Great. Yeah, no, absolutely spot on, right? I think, a lot of parents, students who come to me, I think my first advice is, try and talk to more people, right? Let's say if you're confused about two majors, three majors, try and talk to students who are currently pursuing that major. And at the same time, try and talk to people who are in the industry, did that major and currently working, right? So you get experience, you get experience about, what you're going to learn. And then you also know, how the work life will look like, right? And based on that, you could probably take that call. Great. And how important do you think it is for a student when they're applying to be very sure about the major, right? I know there are colleges which allow you to go undecided major, but what is your take on it, right? Do you think it's okay, or do you think there is challenge and it's advisable to go as decided major?
Okay, so this also I feel like is extremely dependent on the person. If you genuinely have no idea what you want to do and you're completely like, I still am exploring, like I'm still trying to figure it out, undecided colleges are good that way because they give you the option of trying to figure it out. Whereas if you're someone who knows exactly what you want to get into, then having a college major makes it easier to reach that goal. Like if you are if you like coding, then you would do like a CS degree to help you get into like software engineering or backend development or something like that. But if you are someone who actually has no idea but just has an inkling of like, these are maybe some things I like, then I know a lot of people who do go to colleges where they enter with like an undecided major. It's just important in that situation to make sure that you're working towards a goal. Even though you don't know what exactly your goal is, you should have like the motivation to keep finding something that you like, because sometimes it's easy to drown in the like lack of direction, right? So as long as you're motivated to find something that you do like, an undecided major is fine. But if you're someone who can't handle lack of direction, then having a degree, even if it's not exactly what you want, will help you at least work towards something. And then you can always transfer out. Like I know a lot of colleges allow students to transfer into other degrees. A lot of people have switched from like books to like marketing, and they also have switched from commerce to like computer science completely. So I feel like that is my general advice. Like it really depends on who you are as a person, but it's important to be self-aware of what you want, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Great. I think let's do a little bit of reflection, right? So looking back, is there something, I know you did mention one pointer, but I would still ask this question. Is there anything that you would have done differently in selecting your major if given a choice now?
See, it's always easy to say yes. Like it's always easy to say, I wish I did something else, because the grass is always greener on the other side. But the major itself, is a very, very well-made major in the sense that it allows me to do a lot of things that I couldn't have even imagined doing in high school. But that being said, if I had an option, I would definitely pick something that gave me a little bit of room to explore, because just doing commerce and computer science for me gets a little bit too much, especially when I really like being creative. Like I have to find time out of that to be creative, or I had to like speed up my second and third year to be able to go on exchange. So there's things like that which I would keep in mind. But also, again, it's easier to say that I wish I would have done it differently. I think it was a great experience, and it still is a great experience. I've learned so much, both about the business side of things and the tech side of things. And I think it's a great major for someone who wants to go into the tech industry, but doesn't exactly want to do a very tech job, or if they want to do a very tech job, but then move up through the ranks quicker, because business school does develop your soft skills. Like that's something that I think computer science degrees definitely lack. So it is like a well-designed degree, and I definitely think people who are looking to get into it should explore it. It's just a shame that it isn't offered at many universities. I think it definitely should be more popular of a major. But yeah, it is a little overwhelming. But I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I chose it and stuck with it.
Great. And I'm sure the reason could also be what you already said, right? That it is a difficult major, right?
Yeah.
So not many people would want to do it or would want to opt for it. And hence,
Yeah.
probably it is not making so much sense for every college to have that major.
Yeah.
And I'm actually not even sure, and help me understand. So, do you know when this major was started in British Columbia? Was it a
Probably
recent
like,
development, or was it like?
I think like around, when I started my degree, it was only like 4 or 5 years old. Now it's a little
Exactly.
bit older, like 9 or 10 years old.
Exactly.
But back then there was barely anything that offered this degree. And even when I was going on exchange, like I had to make sure I went to a university that offered both business and computer science to me. And my short list was probably 3 or 4 universities out of like 500.
Yeah.
So it definitely is. I mean, there's probably a reason it's
Correct.
not very popular, is because it's quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
But it's a great option to have. So I'm glad I did do it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very exciting, right? I mean, look at it, what all possibilities you have, right? It's up to
Yeah.
you what you end up doing with it. But you
Yeah.
know, as you yourself said, you could be a business analyst, working with data, you could go into pure finance,
Quite anything.
right? You
Yeah.
could go into consulting, and then comes the tech side, right? There you have a front end, back end, full stack,
Yeah.
solutioning, architecture, right?
Yeah.
HCI that you're talking about, right? So I think there's a lot that you could do, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting degree, and I don't know if within 4 years you have that room to kind of do more stuff.
Yeah.
But just a question, right? You could have extended it, let's say by 6 months or a year, and explored other courses. Is that allowed?
Yeah. It is.
That's
You
allowed.
can take a couple other courses. For me, I actually did have 2 freeform like electives,
Got
but
it.
obviously IB gave me credits for that. And
Yes.
I was like, okay, maybe I'll just graduate now. But I know a lot of students who do choose to extend a bit. They might do like co-ops, or they might do internships in different areas, and then settle on like a degree, or settle on a job that they want to do and then finish their degree.
Right.
But it's really dependent on like your, I guess, financial situation also comes into play. Like how long will you pay for your living expenses, or even like what you want to do for the rest of your life, like what your trajectory looks like when you'll do masters and things like that. But it's nice having the option of extending my degree if I wanted to.
Yeah. You touched upon this interesting thing about the credits, right? Just wanted to understand how many credits did you get because of your IB course for this particular major? Do you
It's a
remember?
great question. I got econ credits, so I didn't have to do, I did econ HL, so I got econ credits. I didn't have to do econ. I got math credits because of math HL, so I didn't have to do math. You also get philosophy credits for TOK. And also, I think I got chemistry credits for ChemHL. So IB gives you a lot of credits, like a lot of credits in college. And it's really nice because that does eliminate like quite a few courses. For me,
Exactly.
they were absolutely useless because I only had 2 free-form courses and
Ah,
everything else was a requirement. So I had to do everything in university. But if I did, suppose, computer science higher level in IB, I probably would have gone like 1 or 2 courses off. But yeah, IB is great if you need like elective credits for your, even I think A levels might
yeah.
give you some.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
not.
They do,
Yeah.
but not as much as what IB would, but they
Yeah.
do. I was talking to one student from UT Austin. He went for
Mhm.
econ major and he got about 32 credits.
Yeah. Honestly,
32
in the
college
US, I
credits
think they
out of
give you more.
120 that he needs to do, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and that's for a different session altogether. And I really want to kind of help people understand about this entire thing because
Yeah.
we keep talking about how IB is expensive, but we don't talk about how much it helps you save if you're just
Quite a bit
doing
actually.
apples to apple comparison, right?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
you actually end up getting the entire cost recoup if you're very sure
Mm,
you're going out. Right? If you're staying in India, then it's a different thing. Then I don't know if
yeah.
IB is the right choice or not. But if you're going
Yeah.
out, I think looks like you can recoup that cost, right? Uh,
Yeah.
for parents and students who are considering cost as one factor when they're trying to switch
No, of
between
course.
IB and CBSE, ICSE, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the important thing. And going forward, I want to talk about this to almost all my students maybe now.
Yeah.
Great. I think amazing, Kashish. So I think towards the last, I think I have only have one question, and this is more of a free floater question, right? Is there anything else that you would like to share, advise any high school students who is looking to go outside of India, be it US, UK, Canada, Singapore, doesn't matter, but any specific advice that you have for them?
Yeah, I'd say have fun when you're in university. Like it only comes once. Like have fun while you do get the opportunity to. Obviously, it's important to do school and everything, but even high school, whatever you're doing, enjoy it. Obviously, again, I was in high school and I was also quite under burnout when you're in IB. Like it's quite grueling, but IB does train you for college really, really well. Like you don't expect it to, but life is so easy in college after you do IB. A lot of other people struggle. So if you're getting through that right now, life in university will be a lot easier on you. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say right now. Obviously, I'm open to chat. If anyone does want to reach out to me, they definitely can. I'd be happy to share more. But yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share.
Thanks, Kashish. It was pleasure having you here on this podcast today. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, of course.